It was a typical Sunday morning, and we were on our way home from church, and we were going through an intersection, and we were T-boned at the intersection by an ambulance.
Imagine waking up on a Sunday morning with every member of your family healthy and happy, then all of a sudden, tragedy strikes and changes the trajectory of your life forever. This is the story of the Whitley family, who were miraculously rescued from death with a message of hope for the world. They had found purpose in what looked like the end for them, and have helped to bring hope to a lot of believers out there. What exactly happened to the Whitley family?
At this point, how long were you guys married?
10 years. Yeah, I know. I was doing
put you
the
on the
math.
spot.
Yeah.
How long?
Like 10 years.
19?
10.
Oh, 10.
Almost 11.
10.
Mm-hmm.
Because Landon at this point was 8 years old?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Andy and Julie were very devoted Christians who had been married for almost 11 years with an 8-year-old son named Landon as of 1997. On the 19th of October that same year, Andy and Julie were riding home from church on a very typical Sunday morning in their Pontiac Sunfire, with Landon Whitley seated in the back seat just behind his dad, when something very tragic happened. An ambulance speeding through the intersection of Mint Hill had T-boned their vehicle, and in that moment, everything about the Whitley family took an ugly turn. The collision was such a terrible one that it left the couple in a very critical state. Andy was trapped between life and death. Julie sustained a collapsed lung, concussion, and broken ribs.
I had collapsed lung, a concussion. I've got a rod in my arm, and so I was having surgeries as well at the same time Landon was.
And then the unimaginable happened. Andy died almost immediately, leaving his wife and son in a horrible state. But here's where the whole story gets more interesting.
And then they came around, and some were starting to work on me and try to remove me from the vehicle. And when they were doing that, they saw one of Landon's shoes. And so when they saw the shoe, it deepened the search to find his body.
After the accident, it took the rescue team a while to locate the young Landon in the middle of the wreckage. When they finally got to him, they discovered he wasn't responsive. Frantic efforts were made to revive him, but his condition proved critical. All through the day, his life hung in the balance, leaving his rescuers wondering if he'd make it or not. Then, the dreaded happened.
And so now they find a shoe, and now they're desperately looking. But now the door's off on that picture. Was the door like jammed in?
It was jammed in, yeah.
So
that's a photo taken at the junkyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they have to like take jaws of life maybe to open the door up or anything? Or
I don't recall that.
I see. Okay. So what happened then? They finally found Landon under the seat, jammed under there?
They could see him, but they could not get to him. And so they had to open up the trunk and tear out the back and pull him out through the trunk to get him out of the vehicle. And so once they got him out of the trunk, and he was not breathing when they got him out.
Wow. And so was that like was that your first death experience at that point?
I believe the first one was at the scene.
At the scene.
And then on the chopper, and then at the hospital.
Okay.
Landon was airlifted from the scene of the accident to receive urgent treatment, but he didn't make it. He died. However, efforts were made by the rescue team, and somehow he was miraculously revived, but Landon died 2 more times. For every time he died, the doctors managed to revive him, but his chances of survival became even slimmer. The doctors warned Julie, Landon's mother, that due to how fatal and critical Landon's condition was, even if he survives, which is likely not going to happen, he would not be able to walk, talk, or even eat properly. But a mother's love for her child being an unwavering one, Julie accepted that what the doctors said for Landon was all she had left, and she was ready to do whatever it took to ensure her son's survival. Julie's determination was seen in the way she fought for her son's life, because having him by her side was all that mattered to her.
So I was just really upset and fussing at God. But my very next breath, I was praying as hard as I'd ever prayed. that Landon would live because he was all that I had.
Meanwhile, in the midst of this challenge, Julie had to say goodbye to her husband. But during his funeral, Julie recalled that she was very shattered and angry. She wasn't sure why God had allowed such a tragedy to hit her family. She also wondered why God didn't release his guardian angels to protect them. She questioned why such a terrible occurrence had befallen her beautiful family. But in the next breath, she prayed sincerely for her baby boy to pull through. Her faith was tested, yet in all her doubt, eventually, she decided to cling firmly to hope. She found so much comfort in the belief that God was listening to her and that he hadn't abandoned her in her darkest moments. But 19 days later, something strange and miraculous happened. Despite suffering a serious head injury that had him hooked up to various life support machines and being unconscious for a while, Landon woke up. And to everyone's surprise, he didn't suffer any brain damage. Julie believed that this was an answer to her prayers, but in the middle of her unspeakable joy, she was left with the task of breaking the sad news of her husband's death to their son, who just regained consciousness. Although he didn't suffer brain damage, he was left with very fatal scars all over his face and a head full of bandages. Julie didn't want to further hurt her son considering his situation and how delicate his health was. Julie recalled this moment vividly. She said, "So I asked him if he knew where his dad was at, and he said, yes, I know where he is. I saw him in heaven." Young Landon also added that he had seen familiar faces of friends and family members who had passed on even before he was born. What shocked his mother most was when he said he saw his other siblings who had passed away. Confused, his mother wasn't sure what to say to him because she didn't understand what was going on anymore. However, she acknowledged that she had 2 miscarriages before she had Landon, but had never shared this story with him before. Landon said that he knew they were his siblings, but this wasn't all that there was to Landon's revelation. Landon revealed to his mother that for each of the 3 times he died, he vividly remembered going to heaven and seeing what looked like streets of gold. He saw Jesus and angels as well, and during this encounter, Jesus gave him a message. He said, "Jesus came to me and told me that I have to go back to earth and be a good Christian and also tell others about him." Landon said that these experiences had left an enduring impact on his life because they ignited his curiosity about life, death, and what lies beyond life afterward. Recalling this incident, Landon said the experience wasn't just a sad event for him, but a glimpse into something much bigger than himself. He added that this experience reaffirmed his faith in God and gave him a sense of purpose because he knows that there's more to life than what we can see with our eyes. Following the command Landon received from Jesus Christ, his life and that of his mother never remained the same because he just wanted people to realize that Jesus is real. He is in heaven and that there are angels. He also wants people to follow Jesus and his teachings. That way, life is sure to be better in the end. Julie and Landon embarked on a vision to share their experience with those going through grief in a bid to bring hope to them. And reflecting on their journey so far, Landon's mother said even though she didn't understand why God had not sent an angel to come to their rescue or even prevented the car crash in 1997, she understands that there had been angels protecting them all along, and they were living out God's plan and purpose for their life. So, rather than dwell in her pain, she had used her story to help others maintain their faith and hope in God during their moments of grief. And her son is always willing to let others know about Jesus and the existence of heaven and angels because he's been there. Landon's survival was nothing short of a miracle and an intervention from God himself. He has 23 metal plates in his head. His nose had to be reconstructed from the back of his skull, and he cannot see through his left eye. However, he lives a very normal life now. Landon's journey through grief and into purpose is really proof of how dogged and resilient the human spirit is, because despite the ills and difficult challenges his family faced, they found a way to live their various lives to the fullest. In every dispensation, God always leaves us with reminders of the fact that our Lord Jesus Christ is coming again to rapture his church. And Landon's story is another proof that there's a heaven where we all will go on the last day. The coming of our Lord Jesus Christ is nearer than we thought, and as believers, we are encouraged to live a life of holiness, share our faith with others whenever we have the opportunity, and continue to pray for those who are yet to find their way to Jesus, even as we await the return of our Lord Jesus. How has this video helped to strengthen your conviction in the existence of heaven? Let us know in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and turn on your notification. Thank you for watching. See you later.